Story is short. I've always been inspired to make the world better than I met it. From a very teenage age, at the age of 16, after I left secondary school, I told myself that what was I going to do with my life? Of course, coming up from a very, very poor background and family, growing up somewhere in southern Kaduna, where at early stages of my life, I was following my uncle to sell okrika in the market. And then at different stages in my life, I'd had to carry out different hustles to survive. I remember at the time when I was in the university, I started selling out ties. You see those ties that all our young men here are wearing today. I was packaging those ties. I would get those ties. I would get them at 600 naira. I would take them to different banks as a student to sell to bankers who I thought had money, but they will owe me. Yeah, honestly. And at another time I graduated from Tide, I started selling wristwatches. I love wristwatches very well. So I would go to Central Market Kaduna, buy wristwatches at a very cheap price. I would package them in those Swiss containers, kind of like, and then I would sell at a much more higher price. So I did all this at different stages in my life to, sustain myself. When I was in 300 level, I started my first business. We called it Cherry and Berry. It was a chicken and chips fast food spot. It went very well. We were making a whole lot of profit. I lived large from 300 level to 400 level as a student on campus because the business thrived. Today, basically, my life has been driven with the vision to help to eradicate poverty in, of course, Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. The purpose for which I'm committed to ending poverty, of course, is deeply connected to the drive to see the social growth and economic growth of my beloved country, Nigeria. I love Nigeria so much, and I believe in so much in Nigeria. It's a paradox that Nigeria, filled with so much human and natural resources, could still be described as one of the poverty-driven countries of the world, one of the poor countries of the world with extreme poor people. And I've always wondered for so long, why is it so? Why is it so, and what can I do to change this narrative? Well, hence, that's what drives me to help thousands of people, especially those in rural communities, to escape poverty. Let me take you a little bit back from how it all started, because this is a story. It started in 2005, after I left secondary school. And I told myself that I was going to start doing something no matter what with my life. And that led me to organize the first ever mass and general knowledge competition program for secondary schools in Kaduna State. We brought together 40 secondary schools in Kaduna State with over 400 students. Of course, we got 7-Up Bottling Company, Micro Manor. If you've lived in Kaduna, you should know some of those companies, and some other host of companies to sponsor it, alongside the Ministry of Youth and Sport, Kaduna State. So I continued doing those things I was doing as a young teenager, and of course I went into the university. And of course I applied for law, and I was giving social studies education. Well, I've written JAM severally, and JAM had jammed me. But at the third time of writing JAM, and they gave me social studies, I said, I'm not going to waste any more time in trying to sort out whether I should study law or this. I took the course. I said, it's not about the course I studied. It's about who I am on the inside. So I took the course, and of course I came out with a second-class upper as part of the best graduating students, of course, in my department and faculty. Well, to cut the long story short, in 2018, the work I was doing with Seal Resource Firm and World Impact could not sustain me. They couldn't put food on my table. Hello? I was making a whole lot of impact, make no mistakes about it. But how many of you have been there? I'm sure some of you have been there whereby you're making impact, but the impact is not translating to wealth, basically. Don't be sad, okay? Don't feel bad when you go through that journey. Don't feel bad. It's part of the story. It's part of the process. So I applied for a job. While doing all these things I was doing, I was building a profile. Hello? And I was applying for jobs. Well, I got a job, my first ever job, with over 150,000 naira being paid as my salary. I was the program and partnership officer for Ventures Park. How many of you know Ventures Platform? You may know Ventures Platform. I was the first program and partnership officer at Ventures Platform. Of course, at Ventures Park, which is a sister company to Ventures Platform. I stayed at Ventures Platform for some months. I had this passion. I've always loved to talk, to train, to teach. But I've also had this passion to wanting to do something in the development sector, which was where I was coming from. You understand the story now, right? So in 2018, I applied for a job with the West Africa Civil Society Forum. I didn't get called for about 6 months after I applied for that job. One day I got a mail that I should come for an interview. I went for the interview. Of course, I did some written test and everything, and I got the job. I was able to travel to over 8 African countries as a result of working at the job as a regional program officer at the West Africa Civil Society Forum. Of course, worked on several European Union projects, funded projects, and all that. And of course, while doing that, was connecting and networking. In 2019, while in Mozambique, I met somebody in Mozambique, and of course, I introduced myself like networking. You know what I'm talking about. And when I left Waxoff, I got involved in some other gigs, some other personal gigs, working for a university in the United States, doing some private. I've built a profile as a consultant. Do you understand? So at least some funds were still coming in that could keep me body and soul. But well, in 2021, I got a call. Hi, Kingsley. How are you doing? Impact Market is trying to start something in Nigeria. We need somebody to kind of run the operations in Nigeria. I said, what am I doing? I'm the man for the job. I'm the man for the job. And of course, it tallied exactly with what I was doing, ending poverty. So I had no better person to recommend than myself. I didn't even know it was a paid job. Payment in dollars. That's where the story ended, per se. I can say today that I've been opportune to impact over 7,000 lives across 10 states in Nigeria, working together with over 20 community managers in Nigeria, distributing unconditional basic income, $1 per day to undeserved people across several communities in Nigeria. We've made a whole lot of impact, and that's where our journey continues. We're all still building ourselves. We're all still in this journey of self-discovery and self-growth. But let me just quickly talk about my leadership philosophy. Is identifying a problem and taking action to solve it. The leadership is about helping people become the best version of themselves, not how you want them to be. Leadership is about influencing people towards a goal much more higher than oneself. Ultimately, I want to leave a legacy of compassionate, visionary, and transformational leadership and make the world better than I met it through the virtues of love, compassion, and kindness. These are the virtues that drive me. Love, compassion, and kindness. When I see the child out there on the street that is hungry, that can't feed, I'm driven by those virtues to take action. And just like a mentor would always say, Mother Teresa, he says, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across that will create many ripples. Thank you very much.